Let's go to Frank in Pittsburgh. What's up, Frank?
How you doing, John? Thanks for taking my call, and thanks for everything you guys do.
You got it, my brother. What's up, dude? How can I help?
My question is, I had a baby just under 2 months ago.
Okay, congratulations. Boy or girl?
Thank you. Boy.
All right.
little Joseph.
Little Joseph. Very cool.
And now it's time for his shots to come up, his vaccines and all that. And I'm struggling trying to trust where the CDC and all that, where the mistrust with COVID came. Now I'm struggling to trust where the old stuff, I'm questioning everything.
Of course.
When you ask a question, the doctors shut you down and say, no, it's safe, just do it.
Yeah.
Well, do I know it's safe? What do I do? Do I listen to them, or, I'm not an anti-vaxxer by any means, but I'm not a...
But the whole thing got sideways. Yeah, the whole thing got sideways. I've told some of my closest friends, I think this was 100-year, I maybe even said on the show, I think this was 100-year setback so we lost trust in our churches, we lost trust in our educational institutions, we lost trust in medicine, and those are pillars that prop up a civilization. And there's going to be a long, hard road back to trust and reestablishing trust. So I'm not a vaccine expert, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I am, though, going to tell you how I make these kind of decisions. I'll give you a matrix, okay?
Okay.
Or not really a matrix. That's not right. I'm going to give you a framework for how I make these decisions, okay?
Okay.
And then I'll give you like the nitty gritty, what I think, okay? Which that might buy you a cup of coffee. If the coffee's free and it's like, you know what I mean?
I'll take it.
The styrofoam cup. So, big picture, there's this, a terrible human being. And if you've listened to the show long enough, you know that I rarely say that. Okay. I think people are flawed. They screw up. We all do. And then we all have roads to redemption. There's a terrible human being. His name is Andrew Wakefield. He is the fraudulent scientist, absolute total fraud, who came up with this bullcrap connection between the MMR vaccines and autism. Absolute fake data, lied about the whole thing, and then spread it out, and then went on a campaign, essentially, him and an attorney. There's a fantastic book by Brian Deere. It's like the man who tricked, Doctor Who fooled the world. It's just disturbing. Okay, so we have this emergence recently of this anti-vaxxing stuff. I can't express it enough how nonsensical it is. And here's where it's evil. There are countless parents who have autism who think they did something wrong to their kid. That's why this dude is evil. And that planted these seeds of doubt in all of us. I've got 2 little kids, right? And so I start questioning, like when I call her the nurse of death, when you have this sweet little 2-year-old or 2-month-old, and then this sweet nurse comes in and just pulls these shots out and jabs this little, that's a whole other day, other story. Okay. So I want to say this like unequivocally, and this is not me like I'm making a stand. No, I just look at data, just pure numbers. Vaccines have saved millions and millions and millions and millions of lives. Full stop, period, end of sentence. Okay. And COVID got politicized and sideways, and the COVID vaccine became a nightmare.
Yes.
Okay. And I am right there with you. So as a new dad, you're right to be nervous. Like, what do I do, man? Do I do that? Like, you are right on with every other dad, me included. Okay.
Yep.
And here is the framework by which I make these decisions. This is how I make medical decisions. This is how I make financial decisions. This is how I make mechanic decisions. Number one, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that work in that field that I trust. Okay. Now, I'm privileged in that. I've worked in universities forever. I know I can call research scientists in my cell phone number. Okay. In my cell phone. So not everybody's got that. And here's the question that shifted for me about a decade ago. I do not ask people what they think. Okay. I worked at a law school, and there was some of the most brilliant minds in the world, and they were legal scholars. They were professors of law. So they were trained over years and years and years to find arguments and exploit holes in arguments. They were masters at it, okay? And I could ask them, what do you think about something? And they could spin me an hour-long detail about it. But then I would see their kids, and I was like, well, your kid's doing that. Like, what do you think about organic cotton? And they'd be like, well, I think organic cotton is this and this. And they would give me all this data about the fields and about Roundup and about all this stuff. Then I'd see their kids wearing cotton shirts, and they'd be like, oh, you think this, but you believe this.
Yes.
And so I quit asking, what do you think? I do not ask that question anymore. I only ask this question. What are you doing with your kids? I ask my doctor that. I ask my friends that. I ask my finance person that. I told my finance person, I want my portfolio to exactly match yours. And he was like, he's a close friend. He's like, well, and I was like, no, I want to exactly match yours. And he's like, you got it. And because if you trust it enough for yours, you're not going to sell me some product. I want it to look just like yours. Same with a car. Hey, which car do you think is good? Well, I like this one, but what car did you buy for you and your family? Well, we bought that one. Well, that's what you believe then. Does that make sense?
That's
so with my doctors, I have asked them point blank, what did you do with your kids? And if they gave this kid that vaccine, then it's safe enough for their kid. Then I don't know enough other than what the news tells me in some stupid YouTube videos, which should not exist. So I'm going to ask the people in the field, what are you doing with your children? And that's going to be my guide. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that has given me a lot of peace.
Yep.
Okay. And so I've given my kids not all the vaccines, but I have given my kids MMR. I've given them HPV, my oldest. Like I've given them those things. And there's a few vaccines that I didn't give them because I sat down with my doctor and we looked at the data together. And my doctor happens to be a super nerd and he loves those kind of questions. I have a gut reaction to professionals who don't like questions.
That's the pickle I'm in is my pediatrician now. The practice they're in, anytime you ask a question, it's oh no, that's not going to happen. Well, how do you know? Where's the data? How do you know? I mean, and then they more blow it off than answer the question.
Right.
You know?
And I'm fortunate. Gus Vickery, my doctor, he'll email me the study. He'll send it to me. And I was challenging him on something, and he sent me 2 or 3 studies, and I was like, well, you're right. And so not every doctor can do that, and not every doctor will do that. Here's what I would love you to get in the habit of doing. And this is gonna be when you have to talk to a 3rd grade teacher. This is gonna be when you talk to a middle school coach, a theater teacher is sitting down and saying, hey, can you explain this to me, how this works?
Okay.
And take the humble submission approach, not I was watching this YouTube video and I Googled it, and I think, because the doctors get that all day long.
Yes.
But if you said, hey, sir, I feel like you're blowing me off. Can I just ask you, this is the most important, this person in my life is my little baby. Mm-hmm. I don't understand. I'm getting a lot of conflicting advice. Can you point me to some data? And you can go from there. And if they say we don't do that, then I would be on the lookout for a new pediatrician. And I know that's what is my insurance going to take? And it's going to take me a year and all that. I get that. And that stinks. And it might not be this time, but it might be next time. But that's where I would head out. From my mechanic, hey, why are we doing this particular thing? And why are we doing that? I want people to explain stuff to me. And that's not out of bounds if I'm paying you.
Exactly.
Is that fair?
Yep.
You're not crazy. And you're a good dad. Here, let me leave you with this. I'll leave you with this.
Okay.
The mark of a wise person is somebody who can hold different data points in either hand and not go mad.
Okay.
Still make a wise choice. And so on one hand, we have to hold that vaccines have saved millions and millions of lives. And if you're like, I don't think so, I promise my garden is bigger than yours. And my family eats organic food. I'm all into all the conspiracies. I'm just looking at the data, okay? And then on the other hand, the COVID vaccine turned into a absolute quagmire. Okay. I've got to hold both of those and then look at my 2-month-old and the doctor who wants to give them their MMR shots, round 1, and say, did you give these shots to your kids? Because I'm just nervous about vaccines now with all the drama. Did you give these to yours? And if they look at you and say, I'm not telling you that information, then say, I appreciate your time. I'm going to go find me another doctor.
Perfect.
99% of the time, they will say, yeah, I did. I'll leave you. I think I've told this on the show. My when my daughter was born, we had an amazing, the greatest OBGYN ever. She's just stunning. She was ahead of the clinic at the university hospital where my daughter was born. She was just amazing. And I worked at the university in another college, and so I could email back and forth just because we were in the internal system. And so I would ask this kind of question and this question and that question. I was always asking all these questions about MTHFR and all these things. And then one day we were just doing a routine checkup, and I had just read this thing about DEET, how DEET was a neurotoxin, was going to kill us all, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, DEET and bug spray. And we were walking out of the OBGYN of the baby checkup, and I turned, her name was Dr. Fye, Jennifer Fye. She's extraordinary. I looked at her and said, hey, real quick, you put bug spray on your kids? And she smiled real big. She knew. She's like, yes, John, DEET is not good it's not great. And I'm way more worried about other things. So yes, I spray bug spray on my kids. And I was like, that's all I need to know. There's not one thing on a YouTube video that I'm going to learn that's going to be more value to me than a brilliant research medical doctor and the way she treats her own kids. And so that became the litmus test for me. I'm going to ask you, what do you do with your kids? What are you doing with your money, with your cars, with your home? Are you buying a house right now? Are you waiting? Oh, if it's all coming down, you shouldn't buy a house. Why'd you buy one last month? I mean, it's fine. What are you doing with your most important loves? What are you doing with your most important assets? That's where I'm going to follow, not just some. I think that, hey, and by the way, Frank, you're a great dad. Good for you for asking these hard questions. Good for you for caring about the things that go in and out of your, thank you for caring about your kid and their medical decisions, their nutrition decisions, all that. You're a good man.